Welcome, welcome, welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry with Let's Talk Marriage. I hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. Again, welcome to Let's Talk Marriage. Remember to keep our family up in prayer. We're going to be traveling this weekend for a homegoing for my grandmother, our mother Dorita Loggins. Amen. We're going to be, it's going to be a homegoing celebration for a wonderful matriarch of the family, a mother to everyone in Itabena, Mississippi. So we're going to be making sure we go down this weekend to celebrate her life, a remarkable life for a remarkable woman of God. All right, let's get right on into it. Our subject today is the in-laws. Now, the in-laws are a very important part of your marriage. They can either make or break a marriage. Most of the in-laws usually try to stay out of, stay out of their children's affairs, but make sure you do as an in-law. Make sure you stay out of your children's affairs. My wife and I, we try to make sure we stay out of our children's affairs. Now, it's different if they both come to you and they have some questions about marriage because you have the experience. You know, they might be newlyweds and they might have some questions. So make sure that we are prepared to answer any of the questions that they might have. Also, what we want to do is make sure that we are not trying to control them. You know, some parents like to control their children, their marriage, and things like that. And make sure we are not saying anything negative when we do go around our parents or when we talk to our parents about our spouse. Now, it's a different story if the spouse is abusive physically or mentally. That's a different story. But if it's nothing like that, make sure we're not saying anything negative about our spouses. Make sure that we're, because you don't want them saying, yeah, I told you he ain't no good, stuff like that. You don't want to go on. Make sure we are visiting our in-laws on a regular basis. And the things that you do when you visit your in-laws, there's a couple of things you don't do. First, especially when you first go around them and being newly married. The first thing you want to do is make sure you don't leave your spouse alone. Don't throw them to the wolves. When you get there, this is when you leave them or when you can walk away from them. When you get there, if the fellows in the family come and introduce them, like the father or someone, then they get into a conversation, then that's when you can walk away from them. And first of all, make sure you always introduce him to everyone there. And introduce him as your husband. Now, this is my man. No, as your husband. So that way they'll know who he is and nobody will walk up to him and say, who are you? You Lula Mae's boy? No. Because sometimes they'll swear you look like one of somebody in the family. You look like that. No. So make sure you introduce them. And then when you walk away, once they get involved in a conversation, and the same thing with your spouse when you take her around your people for the first time. Make sure that you walk away once she gets involved in the conversation with them. She might ask if she could help in the kitchen. She go in the kitchen, and that way you can walk away. Or if they get involved in a conversation, what the ladies always talk about how long they were in labor. That's always a good. I was in there for 18 hours. So then you walk away then. But you don't, just walk off and just leave them just standing there. Because what'll happen is the next time you go, they might not want to go because they felt so uncomfortable the first time. So you want to make sure that they're feeling comfortable when they go around your relatives. And make sure when you go around the in-laws, you try to get involved in the conversation. Don't sit there with your mouth stuck out because you didn't want to go in the first. Even if you didn't want to go, just pretend like you did. Nobody know the difference. Just make sure that because then you'll learn to enjoy yourself. Because sometimes when you talk to your in-laws, especially if they're a lot older than you are, they always have wisdom and things to say that'll help you in life and things that you've heard and I myself has always been a history buff, so I like to hear things involving history because my wife people are from the state of Mississippi. So when you go down there, there's so much history down there. There are a lot of people in the north don't even realize how much history is down there. Well, there's history in the north as well, but the root of our history came from the south. So a lot of generations came from the southern states. So when you go there, there's a lot of history there. So you can learn a lot from the in-laws. A lot of times they'll know the history of the surroundings. I remember years ago when we went on a trip to Mississippi. My uncle took us around, or her uncle, my wife's uncle, took us around in a van, and just showing us all the historical sites, the Tallahassee Bridge, and the old one and the new one, and then showed us where B.B. King was raised, the school he went to, and things like that, which was very interesting. And you know, there's a in the little town that they were in, there's a jail that was there. It was kind of dilapidated, but it was a jail that was there. You still saw the bars and everything there, and that's where a lot of the people from the Civil Rights March, they were locked up in that jail. And it was a very small jail. And it was just kind of strange. And they all were locked up in there doing the civil rights. And after my understanding, Martin Luther King came through their little through their little town. So it was a lot of history. But I learned all that from my in-laws. So it's a very rewarding thing when you have a great relationship with your in-laws. So make sure we are having a great relationship with our in-laws, and because you know it rolls off on our children. Our children, when they have a great relationship with their grandparents, because I know some people that don't even know their grandparents, or they say, "Oh, my grandmother was mean." I've never experienced a mean grandmother. I didn't understand that. Because most grandparents are so excited to have their children, so that because it's another generation, and some people don't know their grandparents. But I was fortunate enough to know at least one of my grandparents on my mother's side. I knew the grandparents, and then on my dad's side, I didn't really meet them, but on my mother's side, I did. So it's very rewarding when you know both sides. So especially nowadays, you want to make sure both sides are known, and you know you have children, you want to make sure that they feel comfortable enough to go around, ask questions, because there's so many things that uh, people don't learn at school. Half the stuff that you learn, you're not going to learn at school. That's just a foundation. But what you're going to learn from life, you're going to learn from the older generation. So usually your in-laws are from the older generation. They know exactly what happened and how to deal with certain things, and they can tell you what they went through it and make you appreciate more what you have now, because you know the things that we have now, even with me, things that my kids had, wouldn't even never. Well, first of all, it wouldn't even invent it then. We had no cell phone. I didn't see the first cell phone I saw was that brick phone that looked like a military phone. That was the first cell phone, and I was grown when I saw that. I think I was like 20 or 19 or something when I first saw that, and that was way back when. And you know, as far as video games, we didn't have video games when we were growing up, and internet and all that. And you know, some of the things that you can share with your in-laws, they can share with you, and sometimes you can't believe everything you hear on the news. You can get it straight from the source. That's why it's another reason why it's so important to have a relationship with your in-laws, and make sure you're visiting them on a regular basis, especially like around the holidays, or if they just simply invite you over. Make sure you go with them and enjoy yourself, because usually sometimes even if you don't want to go, by the time you get there, you found out you enjoyed yourself. Because it's very important. Life is short. We want to make sure that we are spending every time we can get with our family to make our family strong. That's what makes our family strong, our family history strong. And children really need a basis now because a lot of them don't have a lot of children don't even know where they came from. They don't know where their grandparents came from. They don't know how hard it is or how hard the grandparents had it. Because the kids nowadays, they seem like they just get anything, and most kids have cell phones. And we didn't, even if they had cell phones back then, we wouldn't have them because nobody could afford them. So make sure that you are sharing your life with your in-laws, and try to, as an in-law, try not to be overbearing on your children's marriage. Make sure that you're giving them good advice. Don't give them negative advice, but always give them positive advice on it if you have to give them advice on the marriage. And make sure you're not interfering, and make sure that if she wanna, for a little simple argument, she wanna run home to mama, make sure you talk to her before she run home to mama. There's nothing wrong with running home to mama if you need to, but if it's unnecessary, don't. And you guys be running home to mama more. Oh, seems like more often than women. But anyway, make sure that we are getting along and enjoying each other in these relationships and with the in-laws. Make sure that again, when you visit, make sure you're enjoying yourself. And again, I mentioned don't make sure you don't leave them alone. Throw them to the wolves, and you don't want them walk. Who are you now? Who are you again? And when you get there, make sure that you fix it, especially around the first time, a couple of times you go there. Make sure you fix their plate. Because when you fix their plate, you know what they want, you know how much they eat. You don't want them going up there filling their plate mile high, and the people saying, "Look at all that food he got." Who was that again? Now, make sure you fix their plate so that way they'll know. You know, once they get used to the family, and then they'll go and fix their own plate. Same thing with the wife when you take her around your people for the first time. Make sure you offer to fix her plate. She might say, "Oh, that's okay, I get it," but make sure you at least offer to fix her plate so that way she'll feel comfortable around each other. And you want them to feel comfortable around your in-laws. And I was fortunate enough to have great in-laws where I have never had any problems, and never had anybody trying to interfere. And my wife had a great relationship with my late mother. For a little while, she used to go over and take her to the doctor, take her to the store, and things like that. Because I was at work at the time, and she was able to do that for me. So, which made it great. So, because we had the relationship, and she even lived with my mother-in-law for a little while, before she got her own place when she moved around us. So that was really helpful because we had that relationship. Make sure that we are enjoying each other and make sure we're getting along. And this is Pastor Larry signing off. And remember to keep our family in prayer this weekend. And we will see you when we see you. God bless each and everyone, and have a fantastic day.